Welcome once again to another episode of Strange Planet. Thank you, as always, for sticking me in your ear. And just a reminder, if you want to get deeper into Strange Planet, you might want to consider a premium subscription. All you need to do is go to strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm, strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm, and you pick the tier. There are 3 to choose from that's right for you, and you get all sorts of bonus material. You get ad-free listening, you get commercial-free bonus episodes, you get a subscription to my newsletter, you get discounts on Strange Planet merchandise. Check it out, strangeplanet.supportingcast.fm. All right. We're going to revisit with an old and dear friend of mine and the program. He was on with us a couple of months ago and sharing some of his visions and his predictions, geopolitical, economic, earth changes. And so we're just going to get an update on that from Douglas James Cottrell, best known as a trance clairvoyant, spiritual healer, teacher, published author. And Douglas demonstrates many abilities studied by the Noetic Sciences. That's the study of consciousness, including clairvoyance, telepathy, energy healing, remote viewing, prediction, and prophecy. And Douglas is one of a select few able to demonstrate all of these abilities, even fewer who are considered a reliable information source. He teaches people the world over about spiritual development through the practice of meditation and the application of spiritual principles in daily life. Douglas, welcome once again. How are you, my friend?
Well, thank you for reading all that. I'm going to have to shorten that down quite a bit, I think, Richard, but thank you very much for reading my credentials. I'm doing well. I'm 73 years old now, and, I'm still hanging in here, so I'm doing well. Great to be back on your show again. I want to congratulate you for all your success through the years and even up to this day. Congratulations, and God bless you.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, you and I, we just keep rolling along. It's like 30 years now we've known each other, probably pretty close to 30 years.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's start with Ukraine, because the last time you were on, I think it was just around the 1-year anniversary of Russia invading Ukraine, and prior to that, you were on maybe 6 months into the war. And just where are we at with this? More than a year later, the two seem to be bogged down in the eastern part of the country. Ukraine's still steadfast that they want to take back Crimea. Even a lot of rumors about Russians using the nuclear option and so forth. What are you seeing right now vis-a-vis Ukraine and Russia?
Well, on your show, I've made many predictions, and most of them have been accurate. Some, years in advance. I once mentioned to you about Queen Elizabeth passing the crown, and she did that. She didn't die. It was a transition, so to speak, and King Charles is there. But we predicted that on your show. We also talked about a nuclear explosion. I had a vision of this in a place where I could see men and women fighting with soldiers in Lincoln green uniforms, which turned out to be the Russian uniforms, and so it was civilians shooting at them. And lo and behold, that came about. But in this vision, there was this big black clouds with letters in the clouds that I couldn't read, which would turn out to be Ukraine or Russian language. I had to get an interpreter so I could let people know to be prepared. Well, on that show, when we talked about it, there was an explosion that happened very close to the nuclear reactor, and we were commenting, and other people were how ridiculous, how foolish, how could people fire artillery rounds at a nuclear reactor without thinking that even the concussion might set it off. Well, little do we know naively that was just the beginning. Several times that reactor was shut down. It didn't explode. People were praying, including the people that at the International School of the Prophets.com is a website we do for our church services. We were all praying for this not to happen. So far, it hasn't happened. But the update on that is President Putin's digging his heels in. he is not, repeat, not going to give in, walk away. He is spreading the nuclear weapons around to other locations. He is becoming allies with China and India. And he is really, let me say that he's not thinking logically. So the reality, the possibility of a nuclear explosion in Russia is 99%. It's very high. Now, I've seen these things in visions, and my job was to prepare people, to tell people what's going to happen. And I've been on your show and other shows of my own. We've been talking to people about this. So where are we? What's the update? Well, it's not going anywhere. The Ukraine people weren't, paper tigers. They're fighting for their life, as opposed to Russians that are paid for money. And the Russian soldiers themselves don't want to be there. There's mass desertions. There's people, soldiers and Russians fleeing the country even before they're conscripted by force. Conscripted. So where are we with that? Russia's in a spiral. The only way out, and this may happen, God forbid, but Mr. Putin will disappear. When that happens, then there will be some chance for peace. If it doesn't happen, you will hear more and more reports that he is going to be cantankerous, stubborn, and he's not going to give in, no matter what. There's going to be a contingency of Americans that are going to talk to him directly, and he's going to refuse any mechanism for peace. So that's a prediction I'm making. Behind that is the possibility of a nuclear explosion. When that happens, I also predicted on your show some time ago where there were Russian people who were dead in the streets and nobody wanted to pick them up. And on your show, we were talking, or somebody said, well, maybe it was a plague. And I went, well, that makes sense. Well, now it makes more sense that when they're radioactive, nobody wants to go near them or touch them. It's not a modern day plague in a sense of disease like COVID. This is serious stuff with people being radioactive. And the next prediction out of that will be farming problems. And we have to watch out for Chernobyl. I've said on your show years and years ago, 1986, I think is when it happened, that it's not going to go away. And so from Chernobyl, there is going to be found, or there's going to be some discovery of radioactive activity in the soil, making the growing conditions in Europe and that part of the world very difficult. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to prepare them that something is going to happen. Now, the month of October has been a month that's come up several times where there's going to be shortages of foods, in particular potatoes. Why potatoes? I don't know. But if you remember on your show, I predicted the shortages of T-shirts and jeans and whatever. And it turned out to be the blockade on the West Coast that happened. So be prepared, buy potatoes, look out kind of thing, and have 6 months storage. On your show as well as my own, I predicted about internet outages. Not too long ago in across Canada, we had a huge shutdown of a major carrier and Wi-Fi went out. Banks, variety stores, gasoline suppliers, you name it, that use credit, debit, whatever, anything electronic, you were out of luck, you couldn't buy it. So you had to have cash. And I've been predicting, again, on your show and others, have some cash, stuff it in a shoe, put it in your safety deposit bank. Well, you have a safe in your house. Everybody should have one. I'm not going to say there's a certain store you can buy them wholesale for about $260 or whatever, and have a couple of $1,000s on hand. Not big bills, but little ones.
These internet interruptions, is this going to be sabotage, or what are we talking about? A solar flare? What's going to happen?
Yeah, there's some great big huge bang going to happen. I've had that from before, and it's going to disrupt a lot of things like Wi-Fi, but it's also going to cause havoc with anything memory. So if you have, stocks and bonds all in, magnetic disk and whatever, we talked about this before years and years ago, and so that's coming. And the more if you look at these TikTok videos and other things, I know TikTok's a four-letter word almost, but if you look at it, there are devices there now involving magnets and coiled copper wires and put together in a configuration that will light a light bulb or run a generator out of thin air. Just the magnets and the coiled wires put together, and they develop electricity. This is the beginning of something amazing. The Tesla, gravity, magnetism, and electricity all being the same force.
Unified field theory.
Yeah, we're gonna see that getting bigger and bigger.
Talking about free energy. Are you talking about free energy on the horizon?
Yeah, and also the need to do it. Here's something that I saw, and I'll just, because it just jumped in my mind now. If you have a glass of water and you put two magnets on either side, you know what happens to the water? You get a cyclone. It spins just with magnets beside it. So, and then there's these other, I was going to call them sonic, but it's not sonic. NASA had a new airplane that manned by, I guess it was sonic something. I can't. Sorry for my memory. It's another non-moving part that's affecting atoms, and it's moving them, and it has supported flight. So that's all these things are coming at us now, and that's going to have an acceleration, unfortunately, of more power being given to people who ought not to have power. And I'm not trying to be cryptic. I'm just saying that people are going to misuse that. The use of bombs, the nuclear bombs are being spread around all over. Watch out for North Korea. We've talked about this man, and I've actually said, and I don't like to talk negatively about people, I've actually said he's crazy. There is going to be another prediction here, there's going to be some use of weapons on American soil. A friend of mine or a client had a dream of a flying torpedo. Torpedoes don't fly, but cruise missiles do. They look like torpedoes. So there's going to be something on the West Coast. There might be something on the East Coast, but look out on the West Coast. There's going to be some explosions on there.
Deliberate, accidental, a U.S. cruise missile, a foreign entity. Any other details?
That's what I think is going to happen, is what I was getting back with the free energy. It's the Wi-Fi and the adulteration of the Wi-Fi. I think that already now in the Pentagon and other departments in the country are already compromised, and they have those little moles in there, those sleeping little viruses, and I think they're going to cause, like Skynet back in the Terminator days, that there's going to be the use of American weapons going off in America.
Let me get back to Putin for a minute.
By the way, I want to. That's not this year. That's going to be, a couple 3 years from now or sometime. Not this year, because we're talking more about what's going to happen now. So I don't want to scare anybody, but this is going to be sometime. Not that I've seen it right away.
All right, let's get back to Putin. Is he likely to be? I mean, there are rumors that he's ill, that he has cancer. We've heard other things, that he's sick.
I see a lot of black stuff in the side of his face and his ear as you say that. Just flashes in my mind. Yeah, so that black mass is either cancer or some other flesh-eating, bone-eating disease. It's all black in his head.
So is he likely to expire soon, and that will pave the way for some kind of peace between Russia and the West and Ukraine, or will he be disappeared, assassinated? What do you think is in his future? What do you see?
I just said he's not going to be there. And what you're talking, this could be blood clots in here, all black, going up the side of his head here. He could have a stroke or whatever, but as soon as he shows any signs of weakness, he's gone. He has so many enemies in the country, it's unbelievable. It's why he sits so far away from people. He's extremely schizophrenic, paranoid, whatever those terms are. I can see him like a little mouse in the corner. But I haven't seen anybody pull a trigger, just that he's gone.
So with him out of the way, then do you see a clear path to peace? The new regime in Russia taking a different approach?
Yeah, the excuse will be now it's all, it's like the airplane crashes, you blame the pilot. This is the same situation. They'll all blame him. Yeah, it's the chance of that happening, that is to say, a peaceful transition is very high once he's not there.
What's the timing on Putin's disappearance or passing?
I think months.
Months.
Months, yeah.
What about Joe Biden? Much has been made of his apparent rapid decline. His cognitive decline is obvious for anyone to see. His physical decline. He's over 80. Um, what is in his? I mean, he's talking about running for 2024, although he hasn't officially announced. What do you see happening in President Biden's future, health-wise?
Okay, health-wise, he's not doing too badly. He still has a lot of wisdom and moxie for a politician. He when he was younger, he knew how to make deals in Congress, and that doesn't go away. But his being more daughtery and a little more forgetful, and remember, he suffers severely from stuttering. Right, he's managed to overcome that to his credit. But coming up for the election, I see him kind of leaning over and weak. I've also, myself and other people I know have seen an assassination attempt against him as well. So that's a pretty firm possibility, high probability that's going to happen. Nobody likes the Vice President Harris, and they're going to come after her, and he's going to get in the middle or something like that. So to answer your question in a wishy-washy way is, I don't know if he'll run in 2024 because I haven't seen it, but it looks like he's getting weaker and weaker and might not. And then if he does, or there's some resistance to his administration, there will be an assassination attempt.
All right. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, I want to talk about a recent vision you've had regarding UFOs.
Okay.
Douglas Cottrell stays with us.
Every new season, we find a reason to improve our lives and our health. And C60 Evo organic edible oils deliver noticeable benefits quickly. A spoonful in the morning delivers energy and endurance all day long. And I sleep deeper and wake up feeling refreshed because C60 ESS60 works. Carbon 60 received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1996 when it was used for industrial applications. C60 Evo's ESS60 is a breakthrough technology upgrading C60 to be safe for human and pet consumption. ESS60 has been called a miracle molecule because of the physical and mental benefits people are enjoying. Their lab has a proven track record of 31 years and thousands of happy customers across the world, just like me. So treat yourself, your friends, and your family to C60 Evo and use my link, EVRS, to get 10% off your first order. Again, my link, EVRS, to get 10% off your first order.
DouglasJamesCottrell.com, that's the website. Of course, the link is in the episode notes, so just click on that. The author of Secrets of Life, The Complete New Age Health Guide, Gems of Wisdom, The New Earth, A Prophetic View of Our Future, Conversations with the Akashic Field, just to name a few. And so recently you had a vision about a UFO or several UFOs. What happened?
Well, the secret is there really are people out there. I should say cousins. They look like us, but I saw one with funny teeth, and it looked like the teeth of a saw, little jaggy teeth. Very attractive lady. Eyes were a little odd, but the teeth caught my attention. And I was having a conversation with her. I asked her name. Spoke English. But the arrival was the part, and I'm not a huge UFOologist or that above UFO, whatever that's called now. They appeared in a big, when you take a cigar or cigarette and you used to make a smoke ring and you go,
Yeah.
and it would go like, that's how they arrived. Coming through a big ring of what I thought was smoke.
Like a Stargate or a portal.
See it. You got it, Richard. Something like that. And I was amazed that the number of craft that came through this smoke ring or portal And my immediate reaction was, I wonder what the soldiers are going to do, what our army's going to do. And then I thought, they're not going to do anything. They can't. This was, the worst case scenario. If they come, are they going to come and say, we come in peace, take us to your leaders? No, they're going to come. If this vision is hold and this is true and it's not my imagination, they're going to arrive en masse. And then the world's going to be like, oh my God. So I had that vision. When it's going to happen, I don't know. But my dog Max was with me. And they wanted to get rid of the dog. And I said, no. And they said, why not? And I said, because I love him. And they said, okay. And they let me keep my dog. Max is 7 years old now. They usually live to be 12 or 14. So there you go. There's a time frame. That scared me.
Well,
but they were friendly.
yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like a full-scale invasion, except that they are not entirely malevolent. So
there's hope for us. Why would they show up all of a sudden? Because my friends were about to blow ourselves apart. All these different factions that's going on. The tinderbox in the Middle East, we should mention about that, with Israel and Syria. We've been predicting that on your show, and other people have said it, that this is a tinderbox. This is the timing of the bad times. Also, what's going on in Turkey, which I have predicted that there was going to be something on page 500 of my New Earth book. I predicted that was going to happen. This is going to be a
earthquakes,
sign.
in other words. You're talking about massive earthquakes in, yeah, we're looking at nearly 50,000 dead in Turkey.
Yeah, there's going to be, I hate to say it, there's going to be, yes, in a moment. 50,000 people died in a moment. And in the Ukraine, there was not a moment, but another 40 to 50,000 people dead in what's going on there. That's 100,000 people dead in a moment. And we forget about that, but that earthquake, in a moment, all those people died. So here we are with these megaphone, messages to us. And this is when I start to feel like I better get myself out there and start talking to people. And so I've started these Hope conferences. We've had one in Fort Worth, Texas. We're going to have another one in Phoenix, and we might have another one in coming. I say might, when it's going to happen. It'll be in Jacksonville, Florida, in LA. I've been invited to Dubai. I've been invited to Peru. I'll be invited back to Spain. So, why am I? Who am I? Well, apparently there's been a prediction about a Canadian who's supposed to be able to go around the world and try to get peace or hope or get people talking that way. It could be me. It could be somebody else. Little old me. I mean, I'm 73. What do I got? But that's what we need to do. And I think to summarize it in a way is like, if we don't do this ourselves, the world is going to rebel. And it's going to shake. You asked me a long time ago about what I saw, and it looked like fleas on the back of a dog's back getting shaken off, the earth shaking us off. And if this doesn't stop, if we don't stop these nuclear activities, what if this vibration or sound or whatever that we're seeing in these little devices between magnets and copper wires, what if these bombs going out are going out to the universe? That's like saying, hello, neighbors, we're about to blow ourselves up, and we're going to blow you up too by the transition of whatever the disturbance is in space. Whether it is, because space is something, time is the fourth dimension, and time, you can only look back from the next dimension. Like if you're in time, you can look back and see the third dimension. That's what I think I do when I have clairvoyant seeings. I look in somebody's body and their mind, whatever. I'm actually in the fourth dimension, in a timeless dimension. Well, maybe the fifth dimension is, through quantum mechanics or whatever, that we're connected to these places. And so we're over here kind of like a jellyfish, shaking, and we're disturbing people out, or beings out there. I like to say off-world beings, our cousins, because, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And if God created all the heavens and the earth, then any beings out there have to be our cousins or somewhat associated with us as being sentient beings. Maybe that's what's going to cause them to show up to save us. Now, I might sound like a little weird. I might sound like a voice crying in the wilderness, but I'm a pretty level-headed guy, and the things I've seen, and on your show over the years, you've been kind enough to let me come on and say some things that have been at the time just like off the wall, but they've come about. And so here we are. This is an important time. We all got to come together. That's the lesson. That's the reason. This is a teaching or testing time.
November reminds us to be thankful and focused on boosting our radiant health before winter. And I use a potent remedy that's improved the quality of my life and deepened my sleep as well. I take C60 Evo olive oil every morning, and I have a lot more energy and mental focus all day long. My workouts are easier, and I have a lot more endurance. If you're into competitive sports, this is a game changer. Health is our greatest wealth, and Pura C60 ESS60 really works. ESS60 is a breakthrough technology delivering the carbon-60 miracle molecule for humans and pets. Check out the C60 Evo holiday gift collections for everyone on your list. They make amazing skin, lip, and hair repair serum that deliver noticeable results quickly. C60 Evo's lab has an impressive track record of 31 years and, of course, my personal recommendation. You deserve the best remedies on earth, and so do those you love. Buy direct from the lab and upgrade your life today. Use my code EVRS to save 10% off your first order. Again, my code EVRS and save 10% off your first order.
And we're back with Douglas James Cottrell, Dr. Douglas James Cottrell, douglasjamescottrell.com. The link is in the episode notes. Let's turn our attention to finance or economics. Gold and silver. Gold is just a tad below 2,000 as we record this episode. The 5-year trend has just been remarkable. Where do you see gold going from here? And I remember years ago on another radio station when we were talking about gold, and at that time you were talking about gold at 1,100, and we thought, wow, that's just out of this world. Here we are, almost gold at 2,000. Where is it going from here?
It's actually traded over $2,030 US in this time in the month of I would say March, April. 2023. So I've on your show a long time ago talked about gold at $2,400, and we're on there now. Silver is going to double. I made a lot of money on silver back in 1979, along with an associate of mine. I don't have much now. I have some. I've been telling people get coins, silver coins, gold coins, and buy if you're buying anything you can't buy coins, buy stock and silver or gold companies, African in particular. But the point is, have some coins, put them in the shoe, put them in the safety deposit box, because they're going to be very valuable for you, and get out of debt. Whatever you can do is get out of debt, because your debt and your mortgage is like a handcuff. People can come and take your property away from you. They can come and take your property away from you. So get out of debt. So where do I see it? It's just straight north. It's going to go up and down, but the episodes that's going on in the world right now, back in the 70s, if there were tanks rolling into Ukraine, the price of gold would have went up $100 a day. Now it's a bit of a up and down, or has been. So I got to tell everybody, I'm not an economist. I'm not a financial man. All I'm telling you is what I am seeing or predicting from the psychic guy. And so I think it's going to go up another $400. I think silver is going to double, get back to $40, $50. And I think all the gold stocks are going to take a leap forward, especially the producing stock, the companies that are producing gold.
So is there going to be resistance at 2,400? And if so, where from there? And what's the time frame? I mean, could we see within the next, 3-4 years, could we see gold at 10,000, 20,000 an ounce?
Well, anything's possible, because what does that mean? Because you have metal, and then you have it as a reference to a paper. And I have said in past times that the US dollar is going to be it looked to me like when you put money in your jeans pocket and you put it in the washing machine, it comes out all washed up. That's what I saw a US dollar of. And other people are talking about a recession coming up in the next months or years. They're talking about the US dollar because this resistance of the BRIC companies.
BRIC countries, yeah.
Yeah, that stands for BRIC, Britain, India,
Brazil,
China. Yeah.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, I think.
See, that's what I don't know. I just know the BRIC, but they're coming together, and this is warfare against the U.S. dollar right now. And there's cyber war going on every single day. Most of the things, my friends, I'm just going to say this briefly, and you're looking at some of these social media things, these trusted websites that you go to, they're not exactly located in this continent. They're not in North America. So you have to be very careful. But it's when I say that, and the next thing I'm saying is because we have cyber warfare going on right now, and it's going to continue. And that is why these other countries, the BRIC countries, plus the people in the Middle East, Dubai and other places, gold is now a currency in as much as it's used for vending machines. It's used to buy things, cars and camels, whatever. And that, although we hear about it and it sounds exotic, that when it becomes the predominantly currency for buying oil and other commodities, which it is already, the US dollar, which has had this privilege of being the currency to buy things around the world, it's not going to be very valuable anymore. And so getting to my point is that you have US currency that's, like back in Germany, we had a wheelbarrow full of bills to buy a cup of coffee. That's possible as to why gold could be what you say, $20,000 US.
Any time frame? Any time frame on that?
This is beyond my life, I think. But I'm going to say $2,400 would be pretty good. And remember that the reason the banks failed recently, and I had also predicted this before, there was going to be chaos in the banks, is because the Fed started raising the interest rate to fight inflation, completely oblivious to the other banks having all these bonds and long-term commitments at lower prices. And when the interest rate went higher than what they had already committed to these long-term vehicles, they were basically insolvent. The Fed bank did this. I was thinking that at first it was going to be Bitcoin and, that was going to take over, and there's people worried about that. The fellows at the top, they want to see real value, and that means gold and silver. Bitcoin's an artificial thing. Paper money's an artificial thing. So we're headed towards, fight that gold coin to make sure it's gold, that kind of back in the day. But in all seriousness, the inflation and all those other things that are there in front of us, the failure of the banks, I'm going to be cynical because I am. The little banks were allowed to fail by the bigger banks who came in and rescued them, bought them up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the future, I see 4 or 5 financial organizations running the banking world. What does that mean? Get out of debt. It means more control, more slavery. And again, not trying to scare people, but be prepared. And so to answer your question, the US dollar goes down in value. They allow, remember that word, allow the price of gold to go up because they can. And now there's less competitors in the banking world. That means there's more money for a few at the top. And the poor are excluded. That's us. Be prepared. Don't let it happen. Get out of debt. Have a few bucks at your house. Take a lesson on how to grow your own, vegetables in your backyard. I did. I'm growing them in pails. Actually, those recycle bins, the little ones. Tomatoes grow very well.
Let's turn our attention, just a few minutes remaining, with Douglas James Cottrell to some Earth changes. And well, here we are in April. We had this isn't unusual. We get ice storms as late as, I remember one a few years ago in late April. It might have even been early May, an ice storm. So it happens, but we had one recently in Montreal. What do you see? Are we entering a new ice age? Everyone's talking about global warming. I mean, I think we're more likely to head to a new ice age. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we've talked about this just about every time we've been on the show, and that is that the core of the Earth is heating up. and has been because of the core is turning one way and the crust is spinning the other way, and the friction and all those things are happening to increase pressure, temperature. That's why we're having more volcanoes and we're having more earthquakes, because the Earth is basically affected that way. Plus, the temperature heating up on the inside is heating up the oceans. And on your show, for the very first time, I predicted that the oceans were heating up not 1 degree, not 2 degrees, not 3 degrees, but 4 degrees Celsius. And 2 degrees would be absolutely terrible, terrible disaster. And we're going to 4. I actually challenged Dr. Suzuki on your show to have a look at what was going on in the center of the world. And of course, now it's been proven scientifically. Yes, the core is spinning around, the poles are changing weird, and it actually stopped this year. It didn't spin at all, but don't worry. And I'm thinking, don't worry. The earthquakes are enormous, the volcanic activities are enormous, and the weather patterns are changing because the Earth has tilted somewhat. We now have our storms. If you remember, when I was growing up, a lot of people, the storms came from Alaska and the Yukon, down around Hudson's Bay and out over to Newfoundland or towards the East Coast. Now they come from Texas, the Caribbean, and they come north. They go from the south to the northeast all the time. The jet stream has changed because the temperature on the oceans, which affect the temperature of the atmosphere, have made the jet stream change. The blooms that come in Florida, there's this big seaweed bloom that's
algae, algae blooms, yeah.
That's because of the ocean heating up. It used to be in California. What happened? Did it just kind of migrate over to the Atlantic Ocean? So the answer to the question there is, there's going to be, everybody's talking about this Madrid fault that goes between north and south in America, let's say from Louisiana to Lake Michigan. That's going to open up. The St. Lawrence is going to, the North Shore is the South Shore of Canada, which is attached to the US side, is going to split even further apart. We've already seen these things in Turkey. And we've seen things in Japan, and we've seen things now in other parts of the world where they ought not to have huge earthquake problems. So about the weather patterns, it's complicated in as much as the oceans are heating up. Animals, fish and otherwise, are being driven out of the oceans, are coming up on shore. You're seeing deep sea creatures that should be in the deep bowels of the ocean. They're now in shallow water. You've seen sharks in fresh water coming down the St. Lawrence River, for instance. And in Brazil, I guess. So what does that mean? It's so bloody hot and the climate is so bad that the conditions for these animals that normally live in the sea in cold water can't do it. So let's not look up, let's look down and say, okay, how can we be prepared? Because these things are going to happen. Number 1, move away from the coastline if you can. Number 2, move higher if you can. Okay, that's it. Then you protect yourself. Then the rest is logical. But if we have more volcanic ash in the air, well, then you have to be able to be prepared to wait it out and have yourself some food in the basement. Some people are survival food. That stuff's expensive. I've never bought any, but I looked at it. It was really expensive. Somebody said to me, survival food, why don't you just buy, a can of beans? That lasts a long time. And I thought, yeah, cans work okay. You don't have to buy this expensive, dehydrated stuff. And so, and the last thing I'll say about that is the most important commodity you can have, my friends, is water, fresh water. If the world flips a little and the oceans spill out of their basins and they come up on the shore, which they are going to, we're going to have salt water in a lot of lakes. So Great Lakes are full of fresh water. Have a source of fresh water. Now, this is long term. This is, I'm not trying to scare somebody. I'm trying to say, if you're making a term decision where you say, I wonder where the kids and the grandkids could have a safe place. Okay, well, move away from the coastlines, move higher. It's okay here. We have a lake, it's not so bad. We have reasonably good growing weather to make our own garden. Ross Peterson, my mentor, once said everybody should have 5 acres of land. Edgar Cayce said the same thing. So any family can live on 5 acres of land with a source of water and whatnot, and being able to grow things. So that doesn't take much. But you know what? What did COVID do for us? 2 things I'm going to say about that. Everybody's moving away from the city.
Yeah.
They're moving to the country. Why?
New homesteaders. That's right. That's a new trend with young people.
From a spiritual perspective, that's what we think is going on, but the reality is preservation, I should say, of the human race is happening. And when else in history did everybody have to go home? When in history did everybody have to go home and stay home? Time in Bethlehem.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
And what happened after that?
Roman census. Yeah.
Everybody had to go home. And then look what happened after that. Everybody had to go home now, all over the world. I wonder what's going to happen next.
Douglas James Cottrell, douglasjamescottrell.com. Tell us quickly about your upcoming
I have conferences. Yeah, go to hopeconferences.org or officialhopeconferences.org, and there's more information about that. We will be coming to a place near you, and we want you, people of the same accord, people want to help and people want to provide the benefit, the construction to the world. That is to say, let more light come into the world, to save each other, to help each other. That's where you need to come, because we're going to start an organization like that. We're not basing it on money. We're not selling books. We're not doing many things that you would normally think an organization would do. We're there to help. That's hopeconferences.org or officialhopeconferences.org. My website is internationalschooloftheprophets.com, which I have Sunday services, and we do Zoom spiritual healing, spiritual virtual healing for people in need. And then there's my book selling website, which is douglasjamescottrell.com. The New Earth book is what I've been talking about tonight. 85% of the predictions that are in that book have come true. That is to say, up to 85. There's another 15 or 20% thereabouts coming in the works. Look out for King Charles. I feel sorry for that man. He's going to be in hard times. Once had a dream where the crown got passed, well, not passed, but Queen Elizabeth was standing behind her grandson with the crown in her hands. So
you're saying he's not going to reign for very long. It's going to pass right through to William.
That's right. And right. William, my daughter had a dream about William before he got married or just after he got married. My daughter's name is Louise, and she had a dream where she said, William came along and he said, there's too many monarchs, too many women monarchs. It's time for men to be monarchs. And so far, how many male children does he have? And the royal family is just populated with all kinds of men now.
All right. Well, King Charles's coronation is coming up soon, so we'll keep an eye on that. Douglas, always a great pleasure. Thank you, my friend. Be well.
Pleasure being here. Much success to you as always. Take care, my friend.
A new Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe at strangeplanetpodcast.com.